Mainers mostly love this state where they live. They love the ocean, the woods and lakes and rivers. And Don Kerrigan is here with a story of two people who have taken that love for the land far beyond what most of us will ever do.
Absolutely. They started out in Maine as what we used to call back to the landers. Young adults, usually from away, wanted to build their own home and live in the country. That, it turns out, was just the beginning. Life can take us down some unexpected paths. Tracy Moscowitz says when he and Bambi Jones bought the old farm in Whitefield 45 years ago, they had no idea what it would become.
If you had sat us down back then and asked us what would we be doing in 40 years, I'm sure we would have come up with something, and I'm pretty sure this wouldn't be it.
Bambi says they wanted the rural Maine life back to the landers, but you didn't imagine you'd be a farmer and he'd be a woodsman.
No. No, not in our wildest dreams.
They were suburban kids from Cleveland, they say. Tracy, a young lawyer and engineer working for the state of Maine. Bambi, finishing law school herself. But they bought the old farm with 20-plus acres and got a loan from the Farmers Home Administration, which wanted to see some farming.
That sort of set us on the path of, okay, I guess we're going to do this. I'm going to sell, 16 bushels of lettuce every week to Slates, and I'm going to have 100 chickens.
So she became a serious and eventually full-time farmer, producing 5 acres of vegetables. Tracy kept his day job, but also began working their woods.
When you're in those places that are, 30 or 40 years ago, you just feel a sense of accomplishment. You've done something.
And they started looking for more land.
It wasn't primarily for the forest land, but it was really for protection. So I believe in, sort of controlled development and not just willy-nilly everywhere. So we like empty spaces, and as much as we can contribute to that.
So when nearby property came up for sale, they bought. So land protection was a primary goal from the start.
It was.
I'd say that was a bigger goal than the forestry.
Yeah, yep, I think so.
And then the question became, now that you have all of this land, what are you going to do with it?
They began clearing and improving trails in the woods for hiking and skiing, and learning how to manage and improve the forest.
There's more wood and better wood today than there was in '78.
Because you've thinned and...
Because we thin and promote growth and take out the disease trees.
They kept expanding, buying more land when it came up for sale. This is beautiful.
It's a great spot.
And over time, as farm production grew, so did the size of their property, to where they had, incredibly, more than 2,000 acres. So a few years ago, they split off half of that land for a nonprofit, the Hidden Valley Nature Center, now part of a local land trust. Tracy and Bambi continued to work their own 1,000 acres, now with a little mechanical help, continually working to improve their forest and paying those bills by selling saw logs to mills and firewood at retail.
So we sold 100 cords of firewood this year. All came out of this.
So you do have something of an income stream.
Oh yeah, no, we have a significant income stream. Mm-hmm. I'd say the woods are 30, 40, close to 100,000 a year.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now that's not net. But,
The farming part is now smaller than it used to be, producing more hay than vegetables.
When I gave up my CSA, I think I maybe told you I had 125 families that I was feeding.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. So now I feed 7 out of this.
we take the worst and leave the best, whereas, typical logging takes the best and leave the worst.
And all of this has earned attention well beyond Whitefield. The National Sand County Foundation in Wisconsin chose Tracy and Bambi for this year's Leopold Conservation Award for New England.
All Leopold's Conservation Award recipients have a common trait. They're leaving the land better than when they found it. Tracy and Bambi are an amazing example of this.
They both keep working this land they love, making their woods healthier their fields and gardens more productive, and there might be more land waiting.
We keep saying, that's the last one.
There's some chance we'll add another 500 shortly.
Really? Well, you need more. It's a vision they have had together for 45 years, to make a life here, to be an example of what's possible, and leave their land better than they found it. A beautiful place. Among other achievements, they have built and rebuilt 25 miles of trails through their woods to use for hiking and skiing, open to people in all over their area. It's really quite something. And they say despite all those years of hard work, it's still a lot of fun. Tracy says there's such a thing as the work to fun ratio.
Oh my gosh.
And when if it gets out of balance, it's usually because you're doing too much work and you need to cut back.
Oh, I love this story because we hear so often about landowners that kind of close their land off to other people and this and that, and this couple is doing everything they can to share it with other people and make it better. So great stuff.
Good.
Thanks, Don.
Thanks.